Hi guys, it's time for another Crafty Twins Mood Board challenge. I've got my little photo here, so let's take a look at the mood board for the month. So this is the mood board for March, and with all this pastel-y goodness, I don't think we're in any doubt who created this mood board. Essie put this together for us all to use, and it's a little out of my comfort zone. I'm not really a pastel-y kind of person, so I'm gonna do a different take on it. But what I really love is that sort of painted brick pattern down there, so I think that's where I'm gonna go. If you want a copy of this mood board, you can grab that from my Facebook page. All the details are down below in the description box. Right, let's get started. So I have got my little photo of Lil in my pocket page notebook, and I have also pre-cut just a white paper insert that's going to go into the pocket. Now the way I'm going to make this mood board work for me is I'm going to use those colours, but just slightly more saturated. So I have gone through my scrap drawer and just my other random bits of paper and picked out any paper that I think sort of vaguely works with that mood board. So pinks, yellows, oranges, teals, just all of those sorts of colours. And I am going to start by just putting in my photo, and I am sticking it directly onto the page on the left hand side. And what I am going to create around that is that same sort of brick pattern. So I am going to use all of these little bits of paper, and I'll show you the process, but I won't show you all of it because it did take me a bit longer than I thought it was going to. So I'm just vaguely measuring out where I want each little piece to go, trimming that down with my trimmer, and then I'm going to stick that on. And so then next to it, I'm just going to repeat the exact same process. I'm picking out another color paper, just roughly marking with my pencil where I want the little square or rectangle to be, and then just trimming it down with my trimmer. And then I will just carry on filling in the pattern from there. Now I don't use every one of these bits of paper that I pulled out. I probably start off this pattern maybe with 7 or 8. I didn't actually count them, to be honest. And once I've got a rough enough of a pattern, I just continued to repeat those papers rather than pulling out anything new. So I'm just using those few, and I'll repeat those patterns probably 2, 3, 4 times across the spread of the page. So you can see it's a really easy pattern to create. It does just take a tiny bit of time, cutting it all out and then gluing it all in, just making sure that it all fits. Now I am lining everything up against the center of the page, but I am leaving a little gap between the squares of paper and around the border of the spread. So now that I have finished my left hand side, I'm going to work on the right hand side of the spread, which is actually going to be this little paper insert that fits into my pocket. I've just got that sitting on the notebook because there are a couple of pieces I want to add to the side that it does matter where they go in relationship to the left hand side of the page, because at the moment I'm trimming a rather largish square, which is going to be where I'm going to add my journaling, and so I just want to make sure that it aligns nicely with the photo on the left hand side. And then the second little piece that I'm going to add here is going to be the title of my page. So the 3 main sort of important elements on this page are the photo, the journaling, and the title. So I'm just going to add all of those things first to each side of the page, just to make sure that they're in the right place, and then I'm not trying to squish them on later on. So I wanted to make my title out of some puffy stickers, some puffy alphas, and I was just trying to work out which colour to do them. I did want them still to relate to the colour of the spread rather than adding them in black or white or anything like that. So in the end I thought the yellow on the yellow was just got a little bit lost, so I went with teal on yellow. And I've added them to the paper before I trim it down. That way I can trim it so it's the exact right size, although that does make gluing it slightly more difficult, but that way I know that it's exactly the right size for the alphas, and again I'm not trying to squeeze anything on. And then I can just carry on making that same pattern paper grid sort of pattern with the same papers that I used from the left hand side of the page. So although I'm working on this little insert piece, I am occasionally putting it back up next to the left hand side just to make sure I get an even balance of colour and pattern, and that I'm repeating those same pattern papers but spreading them out across the whole spread. So like I said, each piece maybe gets 2, 3, 4 pieces, but they are spread out across the entire spread, and none of them should be next to each other. And although this process did take a little bit of time, I actually found it quite therapeutic. Like, there wasn't a great deal of thought involved in it. It was just cutting, trimming, and sticking. So I found it rather enjoyable. And just one last little piece of paper to go. And that is my pattern built, and I'm really pleased with how it turned out. I really like it. So the last thing I really have to add is my journaling, and I decided that instead of doing my normal sort of typing on strips and sticking them down, I thought I might do my typing directly on a piece of vellum, and then it sort of toned down the pattern paper behind it and made it stick out just a little bit more without adding, like I say, those strips, which would have broken up that grid pattern that I've already created. So I was just using little pencil marks on the vellum to try to center my typing and now my trimming, just to make sure I get it trimmed into the right shape. And then I will rub out those pencil marks, and I'm going to run this through my sewing machine before I stick it down, just to add a row of stitching around the outside. Now to stick this vellum on, I'm just adding a few dots from my glue pen behind the typing so you don't see a lot of glue. I'm not super worried about it being securely on there because it is going to go into the pocket, so it's never going to fall off anyway. Although now that I think about it, I could have stitched the vellum onto the page and then it definitely wouldn't have come off, but I didn't think of that at the time. I wanted to add just a little bit more embellishment. It felt a little bit empty to me without adding just a little bit more fun to it. So I grabbed these puffy hearts from Citrus Twist, and I'm just adding sort of color on color around the page. So I added 3 little hearts on the right hand side. I've added 1 on the left, and I'm just trying to work out where I'm going to add a second one. And then I decided to add just 1 more. So I have 6 across the page, and they are all reasonably towards the middle. And that is my page all done. I am super pleased with how this turned out, and I really want to see what you make with this mood board too. So make sure if you give it a try that you tag us in so we can see what you create, because it is so much fun. Also, don't forget to check out Essie's creation. I will leave the link for that down below. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. If you want to keep watching, there's a couple more videos on screen. Otherwise, I'll see you next time. Bye!